Okay, so welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories yesterday, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun, or had a lot of fun making your art today. Sounded like a lot of fun. So today we have two stories that are about art, and the first one is called, it's called Billy's Picture. "I want to draw a picture," said Billy the bunny. And there he is, walking to his giant blank canvas right there. So he took a pencil and began to draw. Just then, Penny the puppy happened to come along. "That's a pretty picture," said Penny, "but it needs a head. Please let me do it." And he took the pencil and he drew a head with long floppy ears just like his own. So there's Penny the puppy coming in, and there he is drawing, looks to be a dog head on Billy's picture. "There you are," he said. "That's the way it should be." "But," Billy began. Just then, Greta the goose happened to come along. "That's a lovely picture," said Greta, "but it needs feet. Please let me do them." And she took the pencil and drew a pair of feet just like her own. So there's Greta the goose drawing duck feet on this now. Has a dog head and some duck feet. "There you are," she said. "That's the way it should be." "But what," Billy began. Just then, Paul the porcupine happened to come along. "That's a wonderful picture," said Paul, "but it needs quills. Please let me do them." And he took the pencil and drew lots and lots of quills just like his own. So there's Paul the porcupine, and you can see the quills are what's on his, basically what he's made of. And over here you can see they're kind of like pointy little things. There you are," he said. "That's the way it should be." "But what Billy began. Just then, Ronnie the rooster happened to come along. "That's a beautiful picture," said Ronnie, "but it needs a comb. Please let me do it." And he took the pencil and drew a comb just like his own. And so here they're not talking about like a comb that you use to comb your hair. It's what this red thing on the top of his head is. And see, he's drawing it right there on the picture. So you can already start to see how wacky this picture is looking. "There you are," he said. "That's the way it should be." "But what I wanted," Billy began. Just then, Oliver the owl happened to come along. "That's a great picture," said Oliver, "but it needs wings. Please let me do them." And he took the pencil and drew a pair of wings just like his own. So there's the owl, and there he is drawing wings on this rooster, dog, porcupine, duck kind of creature. "There you are," he said. "That's the way it should be." "But what I wanted to," Billy began. Just then, Maggie the mouse happened to come along. "That's a sweet picture," said Maggie, "but it needs a tail. Please let me do it." And she took the pencil and drew a tail just like her own. Look at how funny this is. All these different animals. There she is, drawing a tail on this creature. Look at how funny that creature looks. "There you are," she said. "That's the way it should be." "But what I wanted to draw," Billy began. Just then, Eric the elephant happened to come along. "That's a delightful picture," said Eric, "but it needs a trunk. Please let me do it." Look at how funny. Now an elephant. And they're going to draw a trunk on here. Look at that. And he took the pencil and drew a trunk just like his own. "There you are," he said. "That's the way it should be." So, look at this. You got elephant trunk, a dog head, porcupine, wings, duck feet, a tail. It's a crazy creature. But what I wanted to draw, Billy began once more, and this time nobody happened to come along. What I wanted to draw isn't a puppy goose or porcupine or whatever you call this silly picture. All I wanted to draw was a picture of myself. Here, Billy began to cry, and for a moment, nobody said anything. Then everyone started to talk at the same time. A picture of myself, that's just what I wanted to do, said Penny and Greta and Paul and Ronnie and Oliver and Eric. Billy stopped crying. Why not do it then, he said. And that's what they did. Eric drew an elephant and Maggie drew a mouse. Paul drew a porcupine and Greta drew a goose. Penny drew a puppy and Oliver drew an owl. Ronnie drew a rooster. And can you guess what Billy drew? And so there they all are drawing themselves. You can see the rooster kind of there, the owl, the puppy, porcupine, duck, mouse, and elephant right there. And so what do you think Billy's going to draw? They said Billy was the rabbit. So, and that's what Billy drew right there. So he drew a picture of himself, the rabbit. So I hope you guys liked that one. That was, I especially like that with all the different animals coming in and trying to add on to the same picture. And so then our next one is called Old Bear's Surprise Painting. Old Bear had been busy all afternoon painting a picture. My painting of Little Bear will fit nicely in this tiny frame, he said. I want to paint a picture too, said Little Bear. Are there any more frames? There's a big one, said Old Bear. Why don't you and the others paint a picture together? And so there's I'm assuming this is Old Bear, and there's his painting of Little Bear. I want to do my own painting, said Little Bear, all by myself. So do I, said Rabbit. And me, barked Ruff. Old Bear could choose one to go in the big frame, said Jolly Tall. But what shall we paint? So there they all are. They all want to paint something. And they're deciding what they should paint. I think I'll paint a ball, said Ruff, or a spaceship, or maybe a house. Or just a pattern, suggested Little Bear. Why don't we all do patterns, said Rabbit. I think I'll paint stripes. So there he is imagining a spaceship. And then then there's the house, but they're all going to paint a pattern probably. He dipped 2 brushes in paint and bounced along the paper, painting lines as he went. Oh dear, he sighed when he reached the end. My stripes are all wavy. That's because you bounce up and down when you run, laughed Bramwell Brown. And so there he is, running along the paper with his 2 brushes, but they're all wavy because when you run, he bounces. Meanwhile, Jolly had painted a row of orange dots. This is my spotty pattern, he said proudly. But the paint was much too runny, and it dribbled all the way down the paper. Your spots have turned into stripes, said Rabbit, and they're straighter stripes than mine. And so there you can see he kind of dotted the paper at the top, but the paint just started to run down, and it became stripes. It almost looks like raindrops falling. Little Bear was waving his paintbrush above his head. Look, he cried, I can make hundreds of spots. My paper is covered in them, and so are you, laughed the other toys. Uh-oh. So look at that, he's waving his paintbrush and all the paint spots are flying everywhere. And he's covered in paint, and his whole paper's covered in paint. It kind of looks like it's snowing. I'm doing giant spots, barked Ruff. He bounced his rubber ball into the paint pot and then onto the paper. Splodge. It made a big splattered blob of yellow. That's fun, cried Little Bear. Do it again. But this time the ball missed the paper and landed splash in the water. So there you can see these kind of look like fireworks almost, because he took the paintbrush and then just put it on the paper, and then there it landed in the water. Now there are puddles all over my painting, cried Duck. Sorry, said Ruff, dabbing the splashes with a cloth. There, is that better? It isn't quite the pattern I wanted, grumbled Duck. Well, I think all the patterns are lovely, said Old Bear, but I don't think they're so lovely, said Duck, staring at the dribbles and splodges and wiggly lines. Just wait and see, said Old Bear, hurrying away. So there's Old Bear talking to them, and there's kind of the puddles that they were talking about in his painting. Soon, Old Bear came back to collect the other toys. Cover your eyes and come with me. I have something to show you, he said. They arrived at a picture propped against the wall. And so there they all are with blindfolds on, so they can't see what Old Bear has to show them. Because I think it's going to be a surprise. Now you can look, said Old Bear. Oh, it's wonderful, cried Little Bear. Who did it? Who do you think did it? Because if we see here, we have the lines that one of them, I think the rabbit went and ran along the paper and it made wavy lines. This looks like the one that the elephant did with the dots at the top and then the paint runs down the paper. This looks like what Little Bear did, waving all the paintbrushes everywhere. Here's the big dot that I forget who made that, and then there's the puddles and they turned them into clouds. So it looks like Old Bear took it and collaborated and put them all together into one. Yep, you all did, laughed Old Bear. I just stuck your patterns together. Look, Jolly's orange stripes are the boat and Rabbit's wavy lines are the sea. Ruff's yellow splodge is the sun, said Duck, and I must have painted the sky. I can see my spots, cried Little Bear, on the sails of the boat. That's right, said Old Bear, and you all did the patterns on the fish. So yeah, we were right. Old Bear took all their different designs and put them together. I see, said Little Bear. So we did an all-together painting after all. That was fun. I said it would be, laughed Old Bear. And now, let's have an all-together tea. Yummy. So after their painting, now they're going to have a bunch of food. And that's the end of that one. So I hope you guys enjoyed those stories about painting and art, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun doing your artwork. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow.